Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
How's it going, y'all? Today, I'm going to be drinking gin for the first time. But that's not all. Today, I'm also going to be drinking a gin and tonic for the first time as well. And overall, I am very excited. Not just to drink some alcohol today, but also to find out just what gin is like for the first time, and to find out just what a gin and tonic is like as well. As over the last couple months, I have heard a lot of good things about gin, and I've heard that it is a very unique liquor due to the flavoring that's put inside of it. Gin is apparently flavored with juniper berries and other botanicals, and I've never had any sort of botanical flavored liquor before, and so as such, well, I've grown quite curious to find out what gin is actually like. And so as such, I bought this bottle right here, and now here I am about to try gin for the very first time. Will I enjoy it? Will I not? Will I become a fan of gin by the end of this video today? That I do not know, but I'm very excited to learn whether I enjoy gin or not by the end of this video today. I will acknowledge. But what is going to be my first ever gin? Well, what I have with me today is a bottle of the Suntory Roku Gin, which was made in Japan and which has an ABV of 43%, a proof of 86, and which contains both traditional gin botanicals along with supposedly 6 uniquely Japanese botanicals as well. I certainly do hope that this will be a good choice as my first ever gin, because this bottle right here cost me $33.95. But I do have faith that this was a good choice, not just because I've had a good experience with Suntory products in the past, but also because I've heard good things about this specific bottle of gin before. I do suppose, without further ado, in just a minute, I should probably go ahead and quickly cover the look of this bottle. Then go ahead and get it opened up, smell gin for the very first time, pour some in my glass I have with me today, and then after that, I should probably go ahead and actually get to drinking gin for the very first time and find out just how this stuff actually is. And once I've drank gin for the very first time and found out just what I think of it, I'm then going to go ahead and pour myself another glass of gin, but I'm going to put some tonic water on top, and I'm going to mix up my first ever gin and tonic and find out just how that is as well. After that, I'm then going to go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on gin, let you guys know whether it's a beverage I enjoy, and I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts on this specific bottle as well and give it a rating as well. But before any of that, I first off need to thank the sponsor of today's video, me. Yes, my new book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes, is out now. The poems inside this book are not good poems, but they are poems to read while smoking cigarettes, and of course I do highly recommend you pick my new book up. It's available now on Amazon for $14.99. Highly recommend. Now, with the little sponsored segment of this video out of the way, I do suppose I should probably go ahead and quickly cover the look of this bottle now, shouldn't I? And overall, it is a very unique looking bottle, and it has a look that I really, really, really like. We can see it's kind of squared off from the front, and it's got this little nozzle right here at the very top, very thick base though, without a doubt. But when we look underneath, we can see it's actually a hexagon. That is pretty cool. A hexagonal shaped bottle of liquor. Now that's something I've never seen before, and so as such, I'm a fan of this bottle simply due to that. But that's not all. There's also a lot of embossment with different designs all over the bottom of the bottle as well. Overall, I'm a huge fan of the look of this bottle, but I'm going to cover those designs in just a moment. We need to first off cover some of the other details on this bottle, like the plastic wrap at the top up here. We can see the lid right there. It's a black lid, and we get a black and white plastic wrap just going all the way around it. And on the front of the plastic wrap, we get a little bit of a red square right there, which just says Roku Gin in white text. And Yep, that's exactly what this gin is. This is indeed the Roku Gin made by Suntory. Below this plastic wrap, we just go to a clear glass. No sort of coloring going on with the glass or anything like that. It's just a clear glass. And then as we go down the front, we can see we get that very nice sharp corner right there. And then it goes to a sort of rusticated paper label, I would say. I say rusticated paper label because it's not the cleanest cut by any means. And of course, that is by design. And I also say that this is a little bit rusticated just simply because this label right here does have a little bit of a texture to it, like a sort of rough paper, and it's also got a little bit of an off-white as well, with some distinct visual texture too, like this smudge right there, this sort of like white, sort of like a paint mark right there as well, overall making for a very nice sort of rustic yet luxury look at the same time. We can see at the very top, it just says the House of Suntory in a very nice reflective metallic gold right there. Under that, we get a design, which I assume is a Japanese character, although I cannot say that for sure. We get a little bit of a gold right here, a reflective metallic gold, and we get some very distinct sort of calligraphy-esque, I want to say, Japanese sort of character calligraphy right here. This all has some texture and embossment to it, which is really nice. And then below this, it just says Roku Gin right there in a black text. And then under that, in the sort of metallic gold text, once again, which I forgot to mention, but is actually recessed into the label just a little bit, it just says the Japanese Craft Gin 6. And that 6 is on a red square, a rusticated red square, I would have to say. I'm assuming that's in referral. I'm assuming that the 6 is in reference to the 6 Japanese botanicals in this gin, is what I was trying to say there, but I got my words just a little bit jumbled up. But yep, just says the Japanese Craft Gin made with 6 unique Japanese botanicals. So yeah, I think we can assume that this 6 is probably in reference to those botanicals. Just says 750 milliliters right there in a sort of grayed out text. And then on the other side just says distilled in Japan. And then under that just says 43% alcohol per volume, 86 proof. And that's really all that's going on with the label as a whole. Let's get a quick up close look. Looks fantastic in my opinion. Love the sort of rusticated yet sort of luxury look, I will acknowledge. And below this label we get all of the designs on the glass itself, and this is something I just really like. I love designs on glass, and these designs really just make this bottle look that much more interesting, and they just elevate the look of this bottle so much, in my personal opinion. I am a big fan of these designs, and I want to say that each one of these designs is one of the 6 unique Japanese botanicals. And wait, that actually makes so much sense because this is a hexagonal bottle. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 6 sides for 6 botanicals. I'm actually just now realizing that, and that actually makes so much sense. So on each side of the hexagon, there's a design of one of the different botanicals. Oh, that's pretty cool. All right, and we actually get some Japanese text right there, I assume telling us exactly what each botanical is on each side as well. We get what looks like a little bit of a flower right there, maybe some sort of fruit right there, a little bit of a sort of leaf right there, and some more leaves. And what is this one? This one, I'm not exactly sure. I think this is maybe some calligraphy-esque. I'm not exactly sure. No, this is tea. This is tea. I was like, is this calligraphy or is this tea? I can't exactly tell. Sometimes you can't tell, and I could not tell in that scenario, but no, this is tea. I'll go ahead and let you guys know exactly what each and every single side is in just a moment. But first off, let's go ahead and cover the back label real quick. It just says Suntory right there, embossed on the glass itself. And then under that, it just says on this much more clean, less rusticated label, Roku Gin 6 right there. We get the little design that we saw on the front of the bottle right there. It says CA, CRV. Basically, you can get money back for the bottle in select states. Just says Suntory. Established date, 1899. They've got a website, imported by Suntory Global Spirits Co., Chicago, Illinois. Has the government warning saying women should not drink alcoholic beverages while pregnant, and basically saying don't drink and drive and everything like that. And then we get a little bit of a market segmentation spiel right here as well, along with each and every one of the 6 unique botanicals that is advertised as, well, this drink containing. Just says, crafted by Japanese artisans, Roku is a multi-layered, perfectly balanced gin combining both traditional and 6 uniquely Japanese botanicals. Produced and bottled in Japan, 100% neutral grain spirits, imported by Suntory Global Spirits Co., Chicago, Illinois, as previously mentioned. And the 6 uniquely Japanese botanicals are, in order, sakura flower, yuzu peel, sencha tea, sansho pepper, sakura leaf, and gyokuro tea. So I believe on the very front, right here, we have the sakura flower, I want to say. Then I want to say right here we have the yuzu peel, and then I want to say the next one is the sencha tea, and then right here this would be the, wait a minute, so this would be the sencha tea, and then this would be the sakura leaf, I want to say. I thought they went in order, but maybe not. But I believe this would be the sakura leaf right here. And then here's the gyokuro tea. And then I believe this would be the sansho pepper right there. That is really cool. There's little tidbits to this design that I am a big fan of, I will acknowledge. And I gotta admit, the packaging for this bottle looks just great. Really interesting, really cool, really elegant, yet rusticated at the same time. It's a look that I do quite like. And that's pretty much the entire look to the bottle, I will acknowledge. We can see there's a little bit on the bottom as well, just says Suntory, 750 milliliters, and there's some numbers. Nothing really too crazy going on. And yeah, that's really all that's going on with this. I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and quickly get the plastic wrap right here all off, and I should probably go ahead and take a smell of gin for the very first time. So let's get my knife out of my pocket, and let's get the plastic wrap all off if I possibly can. Let's see if I can do that without cutting myself off camera. That would be pretty bad if I accidentally cut myself, and I'd prefer not to do that. Maybe I should have just tried using the pull tab, which is what I'm doing now, and that is actually working better than my knife, so I am going to stick with the pull tab, I will acknowledge. Just going to use that, and I've now got most of the plastic wrap all off. Enough of the plastic wrap where I am content with that. I'm gonna go ahead and put the plastic wrap in my backpack because I don't want to be littering or anything like that. And I am now gonna go ahead and put my knife away, and I am in just a moment gonna go ahead and get the bottle all opened up. We can see the lid itself is that of a black lid. Just says Suntory over and over and over again on the very top, and we've got a little bit of ribbing to the lid as well, which gives it a little bit of a good grip, I will acknowledge. What will gin actually smell like? I'm actually kind of nervous for this because honestly, I kind of think whether I'm going to like gin or not might very well be determined as to whether, or might very well be determined by whether I like the smell or not. If I don't like the smell, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I'm gonna drink it anyway, but I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I really hope that I like the smell of this gin, and I really hope that it smells good. Without further ado, let's go ahead and crack open my first ever bottle of gin, and let's give it a little bit of a smell. What's it smell like? Oh, I love that. That smells so good. Like, just instantly, I love the smell of this. This very much reminds me of, whoa, that's super interesting. It reminds me of a specific drink that I'm trying to remember the name of. It reminds me of an Orangina, which is like an orange soda drink. It's not Fanta, and it's better than American Fanta. But it's like a bougie orange soda. And this initially, the closest comparison I have is Orangina. But at the same time, there's definitely a lot of differences as well. Like, this definitely has a very sort of citrus, zesty, sweet tang to the smell. I assume probably coming from the yuzu peel, if I had to hazard a guess. But then there's also a little bit of a sort of like spice in there as well, a little bit of a tea smell as well, and I would say definitely a little bit of a floral scent. So yeah, overall the smell of the Roku Gin, and I don't know how the Roku Gin smells in comparison to other gins, like let's say Bombay Sapphire or Beefeater or James Gin or something like that kind of thing. I'm not exactly sure. I need to try some of those in the future, no question in mind, but this stuff right here smells, frankly put, delicious. It smells so good. Like if I opened up a soda and it smelled like this, I would be like, bro, I am in for an amazing soda. Wow. And this, honestly, it doesn't even smell like it's dangerous. This is 43%. I should not just take a swig of this. Like, this is dangerous. This is alcohol kind of thing. But it doesn't have that alcohol smell to it. It really doesn't smell dangerous like some alcohol certainly can, that is for sure. Maybe I'm just too used to drinking Everclear, I'm not sure, but I'm not used to my alcohol not smelling dangerous, let me just put it that way. Yeah, that sort of citrus, zesty, sort of sweet and sour smell, a little bit of the floral smell, a little bit of spice in there, and a little bit of a tea scent in the very background as well. Almost like I'm getting sort of a, I feel like a little bit of like a lemon honey in there as well. Maybe not a lemon honey, but more like, well, a yuzu honey sort of scent overall in there as well kind of thing. Really interesting smell. Really interesting smell. This gin smells extremely interesting. Wow. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. Is there anything else about the smell that I want to mention? You know, the sort of like citrus sweet, sour, slightly bitter smelling yuzu peel, a little bit of the spice, a little bit of the floral scent, a little bit of tea. Smells great as a whole, and really, the best non-alcoholic comparison I have is a fresh bottle of Orangina. A fresh glass bottle of Orangina is really the best comparison I have to the smell of the Roku Gin. Without further ado, let's go ahead and pour myself a little bit of gin for the very first time and just smell it in the glass, see if the smell changes at all. And then after that, let's take a sip and find out how straight gin is. I don't hear a lot about people drinking straight gin, so I don't know how it's going to be. I mainly hear about people using gin in mixed drinks like gin and club sodas and gin and tonics and stuff like that. So I don't know if it's going to be any good to drink straight, but we're going to find out. Let's pour myself a glass. And I think I'm going to start off with that. And before I go ahead and start smelling the glass, and before I go ahead and actually get to drink, and I do first off want to grab myself a little bit of a thumbnail real quick. So let's go ahead and do that. And man, I gotta admit, you know, these two look pretty good side by side, if I do say so myself. This gin with my new book looks great side by side, if I do say so myself. You know what I'm saying? Gotta advertise the book just a little bit more, you know what I'm saying? Had to do it, had to do it. Available on Amazon now, $14.99. Gotta be doing the advertising. What can I say? You know what I'm saying? What can I say? Let's grab myself a little bit of a thumbnail, though. Oh man, my eyes. Whew. And this is a heavy bottle, I will acknowledge. I've been holding it up all throughout this video, and my arm is starting to get tired. I will admit. Oh. Well, hopefully one of those screenshots will do as a thumbnail. We will find out. Without further ado, let's go ahead and smell my gin in my glass real quick. And I gotta admit, it smells mostly the same from how it smelled in the bottle. Maybe a little bit less sweet of a smell, but still very citrusy. A little bit of spice, a little bit of sweet and sour going on with the citrus, and still very much overall the same citrusy scent. I'd have to say now I'm maybe getting a little bit of an alcohol smell from it, which I definitely was not getting when I was just smelling the liquor on the inside of the bottle itself. But now that I've poured it in a glass, I do feel like I am getting a little bit of that. Will it actually taste like liquor, though? Well, I do suppose. Oh my god. Oh no! 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 A piece of pollen fell in my... No! No! A piece of pollen fell in my drink! No! I don't want to drink pollinated gin. I mean, like, I guess it is already kind of pollinated because there's, like, yuzu and sakura and stuff like that in this gin. So, I mean, like, there's pollinators in it, but now I have an actual piece of pollen in my gin. Okay, is it going to be easier to just scrape it out? Or should I just pour this out? I hate to do that. But I really did not want pollen in my gin, I will acknowledge. Even if I scraped it out, I don't know, like, if there were, like, bits of pollen all in my gin that fell from, like, the little piece of pollen that fell in my gin. So, just a better idea to pour it out. I don't want to be drinking no pollen today. I'm already allergic enough to pollen, I will acknowledge. Let's pour myself another glass just like that. And, well, now, before any more pollen falls in my drink, let's go ahead and take a sip. And let's find out just how gin actually is for the very first time. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? Wow, that's really interesting. Good amount of burn into the back of my throat. It has been a fat minute since the last time I drank any straight liquor, so this is going to take some getting used to. I've been mainly drinking mixed drinks these days. But wow, that tastes so good. Oh man, I gotta admit, that is really good. I really like that. That is, wow. I wasn't sure if I was going to like gin, because I've never really had any sort of like botanical flavored stuff before. Never had any sort of like juniper berry flavored stuff before. And while I like yuzu and stuff, I think yuzu flavored stuff is pretty good, I still wasn't sure. I can definitely say after even just one sip, I quite like gin. This stuff right here, this stuff is really good. I really like it. Oh my goodness. Wow. Yeah. All right. Interesting. That's really good. That's really good. I quite like this gin, at least. I don't know if I'm gonna like gin as a whole, but I quite like the Roku Gin. Let me just put it that way. Flavor-wise, it's very similar to what I smelled. I don't know if gin is one of those liquors where what you taste is what you smell, or what you smell is what you taste, to put it another way. There's definitely some liquors that are kind of like that. And there's definitely just foods and drinks that are like that in general. And then there's also foods and drinks and liquors that are not at all like that. I don't know which category gin fits into, but this very much tastes like it smells. And the taste is so upfront, personal, and bold. Like, it is not a in the back of your throat, really minor taste that you really have to like let build up over a couple sips. Like, the moment you take a sip, it's there in your face, right there, violating your personal space, just talking. It is just right there kind of thing. Wow. And that first sip was a little bit rough. I will acknowledge. But It's very much smoothed out since then. It's very much smoothed out since then. I quite like this. As I've said, I quite like this stuff right here. Wow. That is really nice. Taste-wise, I don't know what juniper berry tastes like, but the yuzu peel is not the upfront flavor. The yuzu peel is not the flavor that is the most intense by any means, which, based off the smell, was something that I might have thought. But it's not the most upfront flavor. It's there, don't get me wrong, but it's not the most intense flavor. The most intense flavor is a flavor that I didn't smell in the smell of this gin. And so I'm thinking it's probably juniper berry. And it kind of has a sort of floral, herbal sort of taste. I don't know if that is the juniper berry that I'm tasting. I've never had other gins that are only flavored with juniper berry before. And I don't believe I've ever had just straight juniper berry before, or a drink just flavored with juniper berry in general before. But what I am getting taste-wise up front and center from this gin, after having taken a couple sips, very much is at the top that of a sort of herbalesque, sort of very mild flavor that has a little bit of a floral aspect to it, in my opinion. And then under that, I'm then definitely getting a little bit of citrus sweet, slightly sour yuzu flavor with, as well, I would say, a little bit more of a floral taste. A little bit of, and I'm just looking at the back of the bottle, just trying to remember what all the different botanicals were. Okay, I think it's all kind of starting to come together. I think it's all kind of starting to come together in my head as to what the flavor of this gin is really like. This is my first time trying gin. I'm really liking it. I'm kind of wanting to try more gin now. I'm glad I chose the Roku Gin as my first ever gin. I heard good things about it, and I can say, so far at least, I'm feeling like it was worth the price, and it was a good choice to have as my first ever gin. Compared to every other liquor I've ever tried, which I've tried a lot of liquors that I like, this has got to have one of the most unique tasting tastes. It's got such a unique flavor. I really enjoy my bourbons and my whiskeys and stuff like that kind of thing. But with a lot of bourbons and whiskeys, you get very similar flavor profiles, I will acknowledge. And this is kind of just like shock therapy. It's just kind of like, yeah, this is just so different. It's just kind of crazy. I'm sure with gin, it all kind of melds together with a very similar flavor profile at some point. I'm just so used to drinking bourbons and stuff like that I've just kind of gotten used to those sorts of flavors. And so they've all started to kind of meld together just a little bit to me. So switching it up to have this gin to just go, wow, that's so different, is kind of crazy. And I know that technically speaking, and this is gonna make some gin enthusiasts very angry, but I know that technically speaking, gin is just flavored vodka. It's just flavored neutral grain spirit. It's so much better than vodka, though. It's so much better. I have a strong disliking for vodka. I do not like vodka. I am not a fan, I will acknowledge. It tastes like straight medicine to me, and it makes me, every time I take a sip, want to throw it up. The only time I have ever enjoyed vodka is, or was, well, the only vodka I've ever enjoyed drinking, to say it correctly, is the Haku vodka, also from Suntory. I really enjoyed that vodka, and it's the only vodka I genuinely have ever liked. Every other vodka I've had, I've been like, I don't like this. But the Haku vodka, as good as it is, pales in comparison to the Roku Gin. The Roku Gin is just that much better. Wow! The flavor is just so different from what I'm used to. It's so unique. And it comes across in such a bold yet at the same time not overwhelming, but very nice way. I am a fan. I am a fan of this beverage, I will acknowledge. I am a slight fan of gin. Flavor-wise, as said, I feel like the flavor up at the very top is that of a sort of, especially on the aftertaste. Like when you're really taking a sip, I feel like that yuzu is like one of the most prevalent flavors, if not the most prevalent flavor, but especially on the aftertaste, that yuzu really sort of dies down, and the prevalent flavor on your tongue then becomes that of a sort of floral, herbal-esque sort of other flavor that I didn't really get from the smell, and maybe that's the juniper berry. I'm not exactly sure. I believe there's juniper berry in the Roku Gin. I don't believe gin can be called gin without juniper, because I think juniper is what gives gin its name. Could be wrong. That would make the most sense to me, at least, though. I'm not a gin expert. But yeah, the taste you really get up top is that of a sort of mystery, herbal-esque, floral flavor, in my opinion. And then under that, from the Roku Gin, I'm getting a sweet and sour citrus, yuzu, orange flavor with a slight bit of spice right underneath, a little bit of a floral flavor as well that's a different floral flavor, and then I'm getting a little bit of tea in the background as well. And that's kind of what the flavor I'm getting is. I say tea, and I say the other floral, but I feel like I'm just imagining that. So I think I'm going to have a little bit more gin. I want to make sure I say everything as it is, and that I don't say flavors that I'm not really experiencing, even if I think I am. That's one of the things. On one hand, I really like it when, like, bottles of alcohol have, like, the flavors you can expect to get from that bottle of alcohol and, like, the back of it and stuff like that kind of thing. I really appreciate that sometimes. But other times I don't appreciate it, because I feel like me knowing that that flavor is supposed to be there distracts me from the flavors that I'm actually registering the most. And I kind of feel like that's what's happening right now. So I'm going to drink a little bit more of this, try to determine what the flavor is like without thinking about what flavors are put inside of this drink. And that's going to be my final choice for flavor. It's surprisingly smooth, very smooth, a little bit of burning in the back of my throat. Really, this is good stuff. Honestly, the more I drink, the more, honestly, I will acknowledge, it's kind of honestly too sweet for me. It's kind of honestly too sweet for me. Wow. Interesting. I was totally not expecting this to become maybe too sweet, but it kind of is. And it's getting a little bit breezy. Just trying to think about the flavor just for a minute. I'm taking my time, but gotta be taking my time. No, and ain't no need to rush. Ain't no need to rush what I think the flavor is. I'd much rather be a little bit more accurate than not. It is definitely getting breezy, though. It's been breezy all day, and it is definitely breezy right now. I was thinking the wind was going to die down towards sunset because the sun's setting right now, but that, as it happens, was not the case. I'm definitely getting buzzed. I can say that. That 43% is doing me good. And I would say the flavor up top is still very much what I was thinking it was. The most prevalent flavor, especially in the aftertaste, when it's... Okay, I think there's really two ways to look at this flavor, and I think this is going to be the proper way to kind of break it up. I'm having to think about this a lot because the flavor is so different from what I'm used to. But when you are taking a sip of the Roku Gin, the flavor you get is very much that of a strongly, intensely, citrus, yuzu, sweet and sour flavor with when you're drinking directly the Roku Gin and it's sitting on your tongue, what I'm getting at least is that of a strong, intense, citrus, sweet and sour, yuzu flavor with a slight undertone of something that seems to be a berry, but I really can't pin down what that flavor actually is. And then under that, and when I say berry flavor, oh man, what's the right way of putting it? No, it's not really like I'm getting confused, I will acknowledge. One, the buzz is hitting, and two, juniper berries are called juniper berries, but I feel like they're not like raspberry flavor kind of thing, of course. I feel like that flavor is that sort of herbal-esque floral flavor that I mentioned a minute ago. This is really taking some thought. Gin is really interesting stuff. Wow, I really like this. Gin's pretty dang good. I like it. I like it. And I'm glad to say that I like gin. I don't know if I'm going to like gin and tonics. I don't like tonic water. But I've heard that gin and tonics are better than tonic water on its own. So I'm hoping that I am going to end up enjoying gin and tonics, even if I don't like tonic water on its own. I have heard before that some people say gin is a bit too intense to drink on its own, and I'm now starting to understand what they mean, because the flavor is just so prevalent, it's almost overwhelming my entire palate. I kind of see what people mean. Flavor-wise, when it's on your tongue, I'm getting that of a sweet, sour, citrus, yuzu flavor with an undertone of a little bit of like sort of an herbal-esque floral flavor. Then under that, I'm getting, I will acknowledge, I feel like a little bit of sort of a tea flavor. It's hard to tell if that's the herbal flavor I'm tasting or if that's the floral flavor I'm tasting, but I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a tea flavor. And even though there's Sancho pepper in it, I don't know like how intense Sancho pepper is with like pepperiness and spiciness, but while there is a little bit of spice in there, certainly when it hits the top of my mouth, really the flavor overall is much more, simply put, just sweet and sour citrus, yuzu, sort of orange-esque than not. This is very interesting. This is very interesting, and that's very much the flavor I get when I'm directly drinking the Roku Gin. As the aftertaste, the yuzu and the citrus as a whole very much calms down. And the taste on my tongue is very much that of a more sort of herbal, floral flavor with then an undertone of that yuzu, citrus, sweet, and the sour still there just a little bit, but it's much more mitigated. And then under that, there's really not too much of anything. And that's kind of what the aftertaste is like. Very interesting. Very interesting. That's very much what the flavor of Roku Gin is like, in my opinion. Took me a while to kind of get my thoughts in order as to what the flavor of Roku Gin is actually like, but it's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I really like the flavor of the Roku Gin, I will acknowledge. As something to drink straight, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10. Now, I've been speaking its praises, so y'all are probably wondering, why am I giving it an 8 out of 10? Which is still a great rating, I want to acknowledge. But I've been speaking its praises so much, why am I not giving it a higher rating than an 8 out of 10 as a drink to enjoy straight? The reason is quite simple. The more I drink, the more overwhelming and almost too overwhelming the flavor is. So I can't see myself enjoying this Roku Gin on like elongated straight drinking sessions where I'm just drinking liquor straight is what I kind of mean by that. I do suppose just drinking sessions where I'm drinking liquor straight, I guess. I'm buzzed. I'm buzzed. Yeah, I think an 8 out of 10 is very deserving. Really, really, really good. Like the initial few sips is like 10 out of 10 kind of thing. But as you keep drinking, the flavor can become a little bit too prevalent on each sip. And so as such, I'm going to have to leave it at a very, very, very solid 8 out of 10. A very strong 8 out of 10 for the Roku Gin as a liquor to drink straight. Man, I am so much more buzzed than I realized a couple minutes ago. I will acknowledge. Oh my goodness. But, as said at the beginning of this video, I'm not just trying gin for the first time. I'm also going to be trying a gin and tonic for the first time. And I have some Fever Tree tonic water with me today. This is the highest rated tonic water I could find. All I've ever tried in the past was cheap-ass tonic water. This is not cheap-ass tonic water. This stuff was like $5.99 for 4 tiny bottles. This stuff is pricey. This is supposed to be like the best tonic water you can get. So, out of any tonic waters that are going to be making a good gin and tonic that hopefully I'm going to enjoy, hopefully this one is going to do exactly that. And I think I'm supposed to do 2 parts gin, 3 to 5 parts tonic water. So I'm going to go ahead and pour my gin first, and I am going to do how much gin? I'm going to do that much gin, which I feel like is too much gin. I feel like I'm going to get really drunk off of that, because that is a ton of gin. That's like 2 standard drinks. Oh my god. That's a lot of gin, actually. But we ball. I'm here to drink, and we're drinking. No complaints on my behalf. Let's go ahead and get my tonic water all opened up, and there we go. I did just spill a little bit on my hand, and I dropped the cap on the ground. Let's see if I can get that. Yes, I can. I got the cap. Can't be littering, of course. I used my bottle opener I got at the 2025 Osaka World Expo. So I've got Japanese gin, and I've got a Japanese bottle opener with me today. No complaints, no complaints. And let's go ahead and pour in my tonic water. Smelling it? It actually smells way more mild than other tonic water I've smelled before. Let's pour it in. So I'm supposed to do 3 to 5 parts. Just going to keep an eye on the level. So the level's right about there. So I think probably about that much is going to be right. I'm thinking at least that should probably be around about 4 parts. Maybe 5 parts tonic water. We're going to try that. I'm going to go with that. This is my first ever gin and tonic. I don't know how to make a gin and tonic. This is my first ever one. Hopefully this is good. I don't like tonic water on its own. I hate tonic water on its own. I really hope that I enjoy this. Am I supposed to mix it up? I probably am. But I'm not going to. Without further ado, excuse me, let's go ahead and take a sip of my first ever gin and tonic, and let's find out just how a gin and tonic is. I like gin. Will I like a gin and tonic? Let's give it a go. I should have done less tonic water. I don't like that. I don't like Oh, God. I don't like that. No, not at all. I don't like that. I'm going to try it again. I'm going to do a lot less tonic water this time. I'm going to do like 2 parts tonic water. I did not like that first drink, though. That just was straight tonic water with a little bit of the gin. And the gin, like, the first, like, 5 seconds, I was like, wow, this is pretty good. And then after that, the tonic water hit the back of my throat, and I was like, this is gross. I was like, hell nah, bruh. That, oh my God, that woke me up so much. I was just, like, enjoying the gin. I was like, man, this stuff's really good. This is going to be a banger mixed drink. No. No. That I did not like. My goodness, it is so windy out here. Wow. I do apologize about any wind noise y'all are hearing. All right, we're going to try this again. That was so gross, though. I don't know if I'm going to like gin and tonics. I'm going to try it again with a lot less tonic water. I don't know if I'm going to like it. We're going to find out. If I don't like it, I'm just going to say I don't like gin and tonics because I have what is generally considered to be the best tonic water with me today. I have a really good gin with me today, from what I think at least. And if I don't like this gin and like 2 parts tonic water, I don't think I like gin and tonics. I don't think I do. Let's try it again, though. So, I'm going to pour some more gin. Maybe a little bit less this time. We're going to go for that much. And we're going to do 2 parts tonic water. So, this is not going to be a super heavy drink by any means. This is not like me mixing my beverages with soda where I just go a little bit of liquor and I do the rest to be soda. Let's, I've got another bottle with me. I brought 2 bottles out. I'm glad I had the forethought to do that. There we go. Lid's off. And I am going to pay attention to this very carefully. So we have that much gin. We're going to do that much tonic water. Literally just that much tonic water. And I am going to go ahead and finish this off real quick before it all burns away. I have tried a vodka tonic before. Didn't like it then. Don't know if I'm going to like this next drink that I've just poured. Hope I'm going to. Not sure, though. I know a gin and tonic you're supposed to do with, like, a lemon slice or a lime slice and, like, ice. I'm not doing any of that today. Maybe a proper gin and tonic made by a knowledgeable bartender would be a lot better. But so far, I'm not enjoying it. I'm liking gin, but just tonic water, I hate the taste of. What's the aspect that I don't like? It's a certain flavor. It's the keen. Yeah, the keen. That's what it is. I don't like the keen. The keen is a flavor I hate so much. Let's try this. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. Nope. I am not a fan of gin and tonics. I can say for sure. Oh God, I gotta wash out my mouth. Oh, I'm not a fan. I don't like gin and tonics. I don't. Not a fan. I like the gin aspect of the gin and tonic. I definitely think I'm going to like gin mixed drinks, but I do not like the tonic water aspect of gin and tonics. I am not a tonic water person. I do not like gin and tonics. I can say that for sure. Based off this one, or actually 2 experiences at least, I do not like gin and tonics. Nope, not my thing. Overall, though, this has been a very positive experience besides the tonic water experience, besides the gin and tonic experience. The gin and tonic was horrible. The gin in it was really good. I really like the gin as the mixer. That was really good. I definitely think like a gin and Sprite or a gin and juice, or something like, let's say, maybe a gin and orange. I think this gin would go really well with Orangina. I might have to see if I can find some Orangina and try it with this gin, because I feel like that would be really good. But a gin and tonic I'm not a fan of. And the reason why I am not, and I'm just going to straight up pour out the rest of my tonic water. I'm just going to straight up pour out the rest of it. I'm not drinking it. I'm not drinking it. I have 2 other bottles of this tonic water. I'm going to give them to friends and family who enjoy gin and tonics. They are not my thing, though. They are not my thing. Those bottles will not be going to waste, unlike these 2 did. But I will not be drinking the next 2 bottles of tonic water. I can say that. Yeah, the keen flavor, I believe, is what gives the tonic water its distinct flavor. I do not like. Nope, not a fan of it. I accidentally drank tonic water when I was younger, when I was like 12 years old, because I walked into like a store and I would just wanted to buy some water, and the cheapest water they had at that store was tonic water, and so I just bought the tonic water, not realizing that it wasn't normal water. And then I drank it and I was like, bro, why the hell does this taste so bad? That's still what I think today. I still think, bro, why the hell does this taste so bad? I'm not a fan. Nope, I'm not a fan of tonic water, I will acknowledge. As said, I really do like the gin aspect of the mixed drinks I took a sip of. I really enjoyed the gin aspect. I just did not like the tonic water aspect, not at all. But overall, this experience has been really good. I've really enjoyed this experience where I drank some gin for the very first time. I didn't enjoy my gin and tonics, but I really did enjoy this gin right here. And I definitely want to try a bunch of different gin mixed drinks in the future. Definitely want to try a bunch more gins in the future just in general. And I'm very curious to give them a go and to find out just how they are compared to this gin right here, the Suntory Roku Gin. What are my final thoughts on the Suntory Roku Gin and on gin in general based off this one experience at least? Do I like it? Do I not? Well, as I've been saying a little bit throughout this video, I do quite like gin based off this one experience at least. Overall, gin has a really nice, unique flavor, very prevalent, very up in your face, and just a really nice flavor as a whole. I really like the Roku Gin. The Roku Gin is very solid. I really like it, and it's absolutely a liquor that I would buy again. Is it a liquor that I would drink straight on a routine basis? Probably not to any large degree, just simply due to the fact that after a couple sips, the flavor of the Roku Gin became just a little bit too intense for me. Now, that might not be the case with all gins, of course, I do want to acknowledge, but with the Roku Gin at least, the flavor of it became a little bit too intense after a couple sips when drinking straight. But as a mixer, it seems like it's going to be really good. Overall, yeah, I really like just the interestingness of gin. I really like the unique flavor of it, and I really like the gin I tried today. I'm a fan. My final thoughts as a summary, I'm a fan of gin. I'll acknowledge. I like it, and I want to try more. What is the overall rating I want to give the Roku Gin? I'm going to give it an overall rating of a 9 out of 10. I say a 9 out of 10 because this is an 8 out of 10 when you're drinking alcohol straight. But I think it's going to be a very solid 9 out of 10 when mixed into other beverages. And so as such, overall, it's getting a 9 out of 10 rating. the Roku Gin is getting a 9 out of 10 rating from me, which is a very good rating if I do say so myself. My rating may change in the future, I do want to clarify. As I try more gins, maybe my opinion will change. But yeah, as of this point in time, the Roku Gin is getting an 8 out of 10 for drinking straight, 9 out of 10 for being a mixer, and a 9 out of 10 overall. I really like gin. It's really good stuff. And to say that I have complaints on my behalf is not quite right. I have mostly no complaints on my behalf. Some complaints about the tonic water, but mostly no complaints on my behalf. No complaints on my behalf in general at all about the gin itself. Overall, I've enjoyed this experience. I am very glad to have tried gin for the very first time, and I hope you guys have enjoyed watching. If you guys have enjoyed watching this video today, of course, like and subscribe, and make sure to check out my new poetry book, Poems to Read While Smoking Cigarettes. Thank you so much for watching this video, y'all. As said, like, subscribe, check out my new book, and to the next one, I think that's just about all I had to say. So until the next one, stay safe in peace, and have a great one. Man, oh man, I am quite buzzed, though, I will acknowledge.